Hey, Board Game Geeks, Brian Hazard here. And they said I'd never use this selfie stick. Huh? I'll show them. Hey, listen, I got an email today, which is great news. Tau Leader Games is going to be re-releasing Deep Space D6, a second printing of the game. And it's going to have an expansion available for it. If you missed this last time it was on Kickstarter, this was a great, inexpensive solitaire dice game. And it did very well, and it did so well that they're going to be re-releasing it, and you may want to decide whether or not you want to take the opportunity to get this game for yourself. So we are going to take a little time here to take a look at Deep Space D6 by Tau Leader Games and see if we can't help you make a decision as to whether or not this is something you want to get behind. So let's take a look. So here is Deep Space D6. This was a Kickstarter a little while back, probably right around, I'm guessing, November 25th, 2015. And it had a lot of good stretch goals hit, so it looks a little nicer than he had intended. Came with this nice sleeve. I don't know if the sleeve's going to be available in the second edition, but when you pull the sleeve off, it has some funny stuff on there, like, standard entertainment unit. You pull this off, you get the real juice, which is, I love this cover. Deep Space D6 is designed to look like an old choose-your-own-adventure game, so it really does look like one of the old books, and it's got... even the print on the back looks like the old beat-up print from Choose Your Own Adventure. Those were books from the 80s where you got to decide what you wanted to do and turn to a certain page to see what would happen. I'm sure a lot of us have pretty good memories of those. And it shows it's a 30-minute game for one player. It's a solitaire dice game. So when you open this up, and I love this cover. I absolutely love this cover. There are some directions over here that tell you, how to make the game fast, short, easy, hard, that sort of thing. You've got your rules. And then you've also got some custom dice, which are very nice, and they got improved as a result of stretch goals, I believe. You've got these little cubes that you use to track damage to your shields and your hull. You can see that there. They're sort of see-through and cool looking. And you've got this deck of cards, which just sort of drives the whole game. You've got your infirmary, and then you've got your ship. And there's a couple other things in there, but I'll show you those in a second. So this game was a Kickstarter. There was a print and play version available for a while, so I got very familiar with this ship, which was the ship that was available in the print and play. And there's some information on the back of the board that tells you about the ship and its stats and some information about how to play it. Okay. And on the front of the ship, what you have here is your threat area. Scanners. You have over here some numbers that represent the health of the bad guys, the threats that attack you. You've got your how much shield damage, how much hull damage, and then the ship is broken up to a number of stations that you can send your dice to. In this game, your dice represent your crew, and each turn you roll the dice to see what crew are available, and then you place them on the ship in order to respond to the different threats that are coming at you throughout the game. So the way the game is set up is that you have your ship here, and get a little bend there. The ship gets set up. You start out with full shields and full hull, so your cubes go here like that. And you shuffle this deck up. Now in this deck there's actually some boss cards, the Ouroboros, and it says that if you want, you can start the game by just shuffling these in, and then every time you get to one, put it aside, and at the end of the game you'll fight them all. Alternatively, you can just put them aside, because you're going to anyways, so no reason to beat around the bush, you might as well just do it. So in the game, you can decide how hard the game is going to be by how many of these Don't Panic cards that you include in the game at the beginning. So if you are going to play an easy game, you include all 6 of the Don't Panic cards. And for the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to go through and find them. We're just going to leave them in there, shuffle this bad boy up, and get going. Okay? So we shuffle like so. And it has been a few months, admittedly, since I played. Your infirmary card goes right here. You have the the infirmary, and then you have the easier infirmary, which lets you have a little ability, and we'll put that there so you can see it. Okay. And then we're gonna draw 2 threat cards at the beginning of the game. After I shuffle them up a little more. Okay. We face them face down above the shipboard, so we have our threat deck right over here. And at the beginning of the game, we draw 2 threat cards. Now, each threat card is going to have a little information on it. What you've got is the health value of the threat card. You've got the name of it. You've got a sweet little outline of the type of ship, and then you've got some dice and a special ability, okay? So, or what their attack is. This is what their attack does during the game. So when you draw a threat, you put it wherever that number says it goes. So this is a 4, it goes way up here. That means I'm going to have to hit it with 4 times to get it off of the board and kill it, okay? And I can move this a little bit closer. I'm not very good with this GoPro. I'm used to using my cell phone. Okay, you start the game by drawing 2 threats. So this is not actually a threat. This is a boost morale. It's kind of a nice card. And it was sort of an add-on. Since it has a square here instead of a triangle, that means that it's an internal threat. But this isn't even really a threat. This is a good thing. If you roll a 6, then you'll get to return a scanner card and then discard this. So external threats go over here, internal threats go over here. And you'll see another example of an internal threat. So here's an internal threat, comms offline. So that would go over here during the game. I'll put that back in. And we'll just have that boost morale go where it was supposed to go. So the game is set up. Every round you do the following things. So you roll all of your available crew, and you'll see that each die has 6 different sides on it. Okay, you've got the scanner. This is a scanner die. You've got the engineer. You've got the commander. The tactician. Okay, admittedly, I don't remember what the faces are called. Oh yeah, tactical. I did okay. Then you've got science, medical, and have I already said 6? Oh, medical and yeah, sure, that was all 6. So what you do every turn is you roll the dice, and then after you throw them way under the desk while you're trying to make a video for YouTube. So you roll the dice, and then the very next thing you do is, if any of them have the scanner symbol on it, you have to lock them in up here. Now, this is most unfortunate because I just happen to have rolled 3 of those scanner dice. So that means they all immediately get locked in, and anytime you have 3 dice locked in up there, you immediately draw a new threat. So this is a Corsair. It's got a 2 on it, so it's going to start at it's got 2 health, and it's got these dice on it. Those dice matter because every round, the threats, I'm going to roll this threat die, and if the number I roll shows up on a threat, that threat takes effect against me. So now I've got a bounty ship and a Corsair ship flying towards me. These ships, these dice now get sent over to the return section because they've been released from being locked. If you get a die locked here and it's like just 1 or 2, they're stuck there until a 3rd die shows up and causes a new threat to appear. So all those that happen to be just an awful roll. So what I have left is medical, engineering, and science. And each place on the board gives you a different ability. So if I have a tactical, I can fire lasers and do 1 damage. I do +2 damage for each additional die that I put here that's tactical. I don't have any tactical. I can use my medical to return all units to the infirmary, from the infirmary, or return one of these dice that would have been locked. I didn't have any locked. I actually just rolled 3, and it was a terrible example. And there's nobody in the infirmary. This card is not only the infirmary, but it's also just a place to store dice that they've done their duty and they're waiting to come back into the pool. So I have nobody in the infirmary, and therefore I don't need to worry about that. So this is barely on the camera. Grief. Is that a little better? Move it up a little bit. Up a little bit. Okay, that's a little better. So since this doesn't really do me a lot of good, my science lets me recharge shields or stasis beam. So recharge shields would be moving this back up. Stasis beam means I can actually fire a beam that paralyzes a threat for the round. So the Corsair has 2 damage. It does 2 damage to my hull when it hits. I'll show you that again. It does 2 damage to my hull when you can't see that. There we go. And it's way more likely to hit because it's got 4, 5, and 6 on the card. So because that's the most risky, I'm going to use my science and use a stasis beam, which means I just sort of beam like that and show that that threat is not going to activate this turn. My engineer is allowed to repair hull, but I don't have any damage to the hull yet, so that's really most unfortunate. So I am going to use this special ability on the infirmary card, which says, that during the assign phase, I can send any unit to the infirmary to change another available unit to any face. So I'm going to send my engineer to the infirmary and turn this medical guy into a tactical, which will allow me to fire lasers, so that'll let me do 1 damage. I'm going to choose to do damage to the... I'm going to go with the bounty ship because it has more damage that has to be done to it. The object of the game is to survive the deck. That's it. You just have to live till the deck runs dry. So you make a shorter game by removing some of the cards. And then as a Kickstarter add-on, they added the Ouroboros, which is this bonus thing at the end. It's super hard, and I don't think I've ever beaten it. And I often just play without it entirely because I'm not good enough to actually beat the thing. But it's a whole bunch of cards that you lay out next to each other, and it's a little complicated. Frankly, I'm happy if I make it through. So since I did that, I was able to do 1 damage. Now, my turn is over. I've done everything I could. I've assigned all my crews, and I've done as much as I could. I couldn't send anybody on the away mission to do this, like, the internal threat or anything. So now I have to draw a new threat card. So this is Raiders. They have 2 health. They do 1 damage against my hull, and they will ignore shields if they hit me. So I'll put that here in the 2 section because they have 2 health. And now I have to roll the threat die and resolve every threat that matches the number I roll. So I roll a 4. The Raiders I just put out are going to do damage. Now usually if it just says do 2 damage to your hull, you could block that with some shields before you start losing damage to your actual hull. This card says ignore shields, so I can't use shields at all. I just have to do -1 hull right to my actual ship. So that's the round. So at the end of the round, I pick all my guys back up, right? I get all my guys. Now I don't get to get back my engineer here who's in the infirmary because he is wounded, and he can't come back unless I use a medical to return units from the infirmary. Now, so end of the round, so I get to start another round by rolling my crewmates again. Okay, so I've rolled a scanner, so that's automatic. That goes up there. He's locked, so I can't use him again until I'm able to unlock him. I do have engineers available. That's not so bad because I can use one of them to repair the damage to the hull that just happened last turn. So I'll put him there, and I'll move my hull back up. You get +1 damage or repair to the hull for each one that you use. What's nice is that if you have shield damage, a scientist will actually repair your shields entirely. You don't have to do those one at a time. But the ship's hull does require more careful repair. So I've got... oh, and I rolled him. Oh, thank God I rolled him. He's a commander. You can use a commander to change the face of any other die that you have in the game. And I did roll a commander, so I'm going to use him to change the face of... I'm thinking... this engineer. I'm going to change this engineer to a medic because of my commander, and I'm going to use the medic to either return all units from the infirmary. I have 1 guy there in the infirmary, or I can use it to return a scanner die that's locked up here. I'm going to do that because either one of those will get me a die. I don't get to roll it right away. I just put it in the return section, but I'll have it next turn. So, and then lastly, I have the scientist. I'm not doing particularly well. But I have the scientist. I'm going to put him here, and I'm going to use a stasis beam in order to get one of these guys to not shoot me. I still think I want to do... Well, this bounty ship only does 1 damage to the hull, and he's not as likely to hit, but he destroys all shields if he hits me. That's not huge because it only takes 1 dice to put the shields back up. And -2 hull means I'd have to use at least 2 engineers to fix it, so I'm going to use the stasis beam on the Corsair. And then now I have to draw a new threat, which is a strike bomber, which is a -1 hull and will send someone to the infirmary because they hit so hard. That's not great. He has 2 health, so I'm going to put him right there. I'm going to roll the threat die. I've rolled a 1. That is unfortunate. That means the Raider hits because he has a 1, so that's -1, and he ignores shields. And then the bounty ship hits for 1, and he destroys all shields. So shields go right down to 0. And then he does 1 damage. So, ouch. Rough game so far. Already not going great. But this is the game. This is all of the game, and I really like it. I've played this more than any other solitaire game I've ever owned because you can play it so quickly and easily. Let me show you just a couple more rounds, and then I'll stop. You're pretty much getting the gist of it. So, I get a new round. I pick up my dice. My guy's in the infirmary, so I can't take him back out. I roll my dice. Okay, I rolled a scanner, so that's locked. I do have a tactical. That's great. I'm totally going to use that. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use my commander to turn this engineer into another tactical, because I get +2 damage for every one I use after the first. So this is 1 damage, but if I turn this into a tactical, now I'm doing 3 damage, which is great because this bounty ship, which has a 4 on it, is now in the 3 space because I've already done 1 damage to it. So if I do 3 more damage to it, I can get it off the board entirely. So I can do 3 damage, 1, 2, 3. This goes off the board. You discard it. I have survived that threat. There's still 3 more here banging down the door. Again, this was a rough game from the beginning. I am going to use my stasis or my scientist to either recharge shields or do a stasis beam. I don't have anybody that's going to completely wipe out the shields, but my shields are at 0 now, so all damage I take is going to go directly to my hull. He ignores shields anyways. I am going to, and right now I have a 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, so everything's going to hit except a 3, and if I get a 2 or a 5, I'm going to lose 3 hull. So I'm going to recharge the shield. So this goes back up to 4. That's what I used him for. He's still stuck in the infirmary. Now I have to draw a new threat card. They just keep coming. Distracted. So this is a sort of an away mission type card. This card gets put up here, and it has a little space for a die on it. I have to take one of my dice and put it up here. He is distracted, and until 2 medics get assigned to this as an action, to shake him out of his stupor, then you will not be able to get that die back. It is stuck there. Or no, I apologize. If I roll a 3 or a 4, then one of my dice will get distracted, and I won't be able to get it back until I roll medics. So I don't lose the die right away. So I rolled that, I drew that. I'm going to roll for this. I rolled a 1. A 1 gets me the Raiders again. They ignore shields. That goes down 1. And that is the only one that fires as a result of that. So that's the gist of the game. It's a ton of fun. You've got more than one ship that you can use for the game. There's a whole variety of different cards that you have to deal with, ships and enemies that are going to come against you. The game comes with 4 different ships to play, and all of them are different from each other. This is the base. This is sort of the easiest ship you can play. Then you've got the they call this the Athena Mark II. Now this ship is way more punchy. Launch rockets and do 2 damage. Quantum cannon actually returns a threat back to the deck. This commander lets you copy another crew die. This is actually better than what's here because this lets you change the face of a die, which means you're using the commander and then switching on another die. This one, if you put the commander there, you just get to turn him into another crew die, which is kind of cool, but slightly more limiting since you have to have one of like that already. This you can recharge the shields. There's no stasis beam here. And then this one allows you to reroll all available units if you use a medic. And then performing a scan means you get to look at 1 or 2 cards in the deck to see what's coming, I believe, which is pretty nice. Then you've got the, what do they call this thing? I don't think I can pronounce it right. The Mononoaware. I'm sure that's some sort of thing. Somebody knows what that means. Anyways, this one is a UFO, and it plays distinctly different. You'll notice there's only 2 scanner places here. God, I don't even remember how to play this one. It performs attacks based on the dice placed in its 2 receptors. To function, the attack must have at least 1 die in the receptors, but no more than 2. Consult the chart for each die. So you can... I don't remember. I don't remember how to play this one. I do like it. Let me say that. It's just been a very long time since I've played this one. Crew may be locked into receptors if a tactical die is not ready. I do know that equilibrium is an ability that you can do here, which lets you swap your shield and hull value in case you're in a bad shape. I think essentially what this means is that to function, the attack must have at least 1 die in their screw receptors. I don't remember. Don't hold it against me. I think it means that you put 2 dice anywhere and it allows you to do that ability. Somebody's going to correct me on that. But let's not get hung up on it. The other one is this crazy ship, the AG-8, which works with all sorts of drones. You start the game with 2 active drones, and then the rest of the dice are your crew, and you can use the crew to generate drones that then like shoot out the top, and it's crazy. It's totally different. So each one of these ships play completely different, and all of this came in a box that I'm pretty sure cost about $20 to $25. which is a fantastic deal for the amount of gameplay I've gotten out of it. So that's sort of the gist of the gameplay. I'm going to wrap this up here and go hang out with Jenny. But I wanted to show you guys this since I heard it's getting a second printing and an expansion on Kickstarter. I did read that there's going to be something different in the direction, so it might play slightly different than what I showed you. But for the most part, you saw what the game has to offer. I really like it a lot. The quality of the game is good. I'm really kind of amazed I got this game for 25 bucks. It's nice quality. I can't do anything one-handed. Yeah, it's really nice quality. That's where it went. Okay. So, yeah, it's really nice quality. I do recommend it. I like it a lot. The only thing that doesn't really tickle my fancy with this game is the Ouroboros, the sort of final boss. He's crazy hard. I'm proud of it if I even make it through the deck. So, but if you're interested in this, take a look at it. It'll be coming up on Kickstarter soon. Keep your eye out. He did say it's going to be a little more expensive, probably closer to $27 or $30 for the set this time. But you can't go wrong. It's a good opportunity. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, comments, say so below. Give me a thumb. You don't have to subscribe. I have 42 subscribers. I'm not aiming for that. But I thought this would be helpful. So I will see you guys on The Geek. Take care.